Imagine American television without MASH asterisk. Tough, right? That's because the show wasn't just popular, it redefined what a sitcom could be. Premiering in 1972 during the final years of the Vietnam War, MASH asterisk was set in the Korean War and uniquely blended humor with heartbreak. Its quirky characters confronted the absurdity of war while highlighting the resilience of the human spirit, quickly turning the series into a fan favorite. But behind its success, MASH asterisk was constantly evolving. As it dove deeper into social commentary and emotional storytelling, tensions sometimes rose behind the scenes. Beloved stars eventually made the difficult decision to leave, some for personal reasons, others because of professional frustrations or creative conflicts. So, what really happened behind those departures? Let's take a closer look. Before exploring those exits, it's worth understanding how MASH asterisk came to life. Like many great television stories, it began with a book. In 1968, Dr. Richard Hooker, the pen name of Korean war surgeon H. Richard Hornberger, published MASH, a novel about three army doctors asterisk, a fictionalized, semi-autobiographical account of his time in a mobile army surgical hospital. The novel, filled with gallows humor and moments of deep humanity, quickly became a bestseller. Just 2 years later, director Robert Altman adapted it into a critically acclaimed film starring Donald Sutherland and Elliott Gould. Released during the height of the Vietnam War, the movie's blend of irreverence and tragedy struck a chord with audiences and critics alike, winning the Palme d'Or and the Oscar for Best Screenplay. Then, in 1972, CBS adapted the story into a television series, developed by Larry Gelbart and Gene Reynolds. Premiering on September 17, MASH asterisk, the series kept the wartime backdrop and dark humor, but leaned into serialized storytelling and deeper character arcs. Alan Alda took over as Hawkeye Pierce and quickly became the emotional anchor of the show. Though Season 1 struggled with ratings, a move to Saturday nights gave the show new life and cultural significance. MASH asterisk began breaking television rules. It experimented with format, used actual war footage, and replaced laugh tracks with the hum of helicopters. Alda eventually became a writer, director, and creative voice on the show, pushing it toward more emotional and realistic territory. But not everyone was on board with this shift. As MASH asterisk matured, so did its cast, and not all actors were happy. Some felt their roles were shrinking or becoming caricatures. Others faced personal challenges or wanted to pursue new creative ventures. Over its 11-season run, the show saw several cast changes, but it never lost sight of its core mission: to show the cost of war through compassion, wit, and the bonds of humanity. The first major departure was one that shook viewers to their core. McLean Stevenson, who played the lovable but bumbling Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake, left the show at the end of Season 3. The finale, Abyssinia, Henry, became one of the most iconic moments in TV history. In the final scene, Radar walks into the operating room and quietly delivers the news: Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake's plane was shot down over the Sea of Japan. There were no survivors. That single line shocked audiences and changed TV forever. Killing off a main character in a sitcom was unheard of. But the writers saw an opportunity to remind viewers that MASH asterisk, at its heart, was a war story, and in war, not everyone gets to go home. Stevenson had been frustrated behind the scenes. While the show began as a loose ensemble, Alda's growing involvement in writing and directing meant Hawkeye became the show's emotional core. McLean felt increasingly sidelined and told People magazine in 1975, "I want to be #1." His ambitions weren't rooted in ego so much as a deep desire to anchor his own series. He wanted to break out of being the second or third banana. So, he left in hopes of stardom, and CBS gave his character a farewell unlike any other. The raw, silent reaction in the operating room was partly real. Only Gary Berghoff, who played Radar, knew the twist ending in advance. Audiences were devastated. CBS was flooded with letters, some praising the bold decision, others furious that such a beloved character was killed off. What happened to McLean after leaving? At first, things seemed promising. He signed a lucrative deal with NBC and starred in the McLean-Stevenson show. But the series flopped after just 1 season. A second attempt, Hello, Larry, did even worse, becoming a pop culture punchline. In 1983, Stevenson admitted to the Los Angeles Times, "I took myself out of the game." In retrospect, leaving MASH asterisk had been a mistake. The show, the cast, the writing, it was lightning in a bottle. Although he continued working in TV, McLean never found the same level of success or emotional connection with audiences. When he passed away in 1996 at age 68, tributes poured in. Alda called him a wonderful actor and a good man. His departure, ironically, gave MASH * one of its most powerful, enduring moments, and gave his character a legacy he never quite matched again. But if McLean's exit was explosive, Wayne Rogers' departure was the opposite: quiet, sudden, and full of behind-the-scenes tension. Unlike McLean, Wayne Rogers, who played Trapper John, didn't get a farewell episode or any dramatic goodbye. One day he was there, the next, he was gone. He was gone, no goodbye, no explanation, and certainly no closure. Why, you ask? Let's just say things aren't always as rosy on set as they appear on camera. To understand what really happened, we have to go back to the beginning. Wayne Rogers played Trapper John McIntyre, one half of the original comedic duo that defined MAS*S*H*S early seasons. Alongside Alan Alda's Hawkeye Pierce, they were the life of the 4077th. Their chemistry was magnetic, and audiences adored their fast-paced banter, mischievous antics, and unshakable friendship. It was like a wartime version of The Odd Couple, only with scalpel jokes. But beneath the laughter, tension was quietly building. Wayne had signed on believing MAS*S*H* would be a true ensemble series, offering equal screen time to the core cast. Yet as the show progressed, the spotlight increasingly favored Alda's Hawkeye, who gradually became more than a co-lead. He was the emotional and moral anchor of the show. Alda, a gifted writer and director, began shaping much of the show's creative vision, and that shift in direction didn't go unnoticed by Wayne. At first, Wayne was supportive of Alda's success, and the two were reportedly friendly off-camera. However, he soon began to feel sidelined. While Hawkeye's character grew with emotional depth and maturity, Trapper John remained stagnant, stuck in the same buddy role. As Wayne would later say, Trapper didn't have much to do. He was one of two buddies, and then he became the guy who nodded at everything Alan said. His dissatisfaction wasn't about ego, it was about storytelling integrity. Unlike McLean Stevenson, who had a public departure with a proper send-off, Wayne made a quieter exit. Without fanfare, he declined to renew his contract after Season 3. The producers didn't even realize he was officially gone until filming for Season 4 had already begun. In a surprising twist, Wayne had never actually signed a formal contract. He had been working on a handshake deal all along. So when producers threatened legal action, they had no case. Wayne had broken no contract. He had simply walked away from a show that no longer supported the growth of his character. His sudden exit left the writers scrambling. In Season 4's premiere, the show awkwardly explained that Trapper had been discharged while Hawkeye was on leave. The audience was stunned. First Henry, now Trapper? The absence stung even more because there was no farewell scene, no goodbye party, no emotional closure. Wayne was replaced by Mike Farrell, who played B.J. Honeycutt, a more grounded and emotionally complex character. With this shift, the show's dynamic changed. The buddy comedy edge was replaced with a more introspective tone. Ironically, MAS*S*H* grew deeper and arguably better after Trapper's departure. While some still favor the early seasons, others feel the change was for the best. As for Wayne, he didn't disappear. After MAS*S*H*, he acted in TV and films but eventually pivoted to a different path: finance. A Princeton history graduate, he built a career on Wall Street and became a successful investor and commentator, even appearing regularly on Fox News cash-in. He made millions, not from acting, but from smart investing. Still, he never completely left Hollywood, appearing in TV movies and occasional roles, often reflecting on his MAS*S*H* days with humor. Despite his abrupt departure, there seemed to be no lingering resentment. Alan Alda later said, "Wayne is one of the smartest people I've ever worked with. I missed him a lot when he left." Their friendship endured. When Wayne passed away in 2015 at age 82, Alda tweeted, "He was smart, funny, curious, and dedicated. We made a pact to give each other a hard time for the rest of our lives, and I'm sorry we won't have the chance." Though Wayne left MAS*S*H* at the peak of its early fame, his legacy as Trapper John, playful, clever, and beloved, remains strong. We've discussed those who left to pursue other careers, But what about those who left because the series was emotionally draining? Gary Berghoff's exit was one of the quietest and most heartbreaking. As Radar O'Reilly, Gary portrayed the innocent, wide-eyed company clerk with an uncanny intuition. He was the heart of the 4077th, often depicted with a teddy bear under one arm and the weight of war under the other. While others broke rules or bumbled through leadership, Radar was the glue, the soul of the unit. Gary was the only actor to carry his role from the 1970 M.A*S*H film to the TV series, transforming Radar from a mischievous character into a symbol of lost innocence. His performance became iconic and irreplaceable. But by Season 7, the cracks began to show. Gary struggled behind the scenes. The grueling shooting schedule and his perfectionism wore him down. He battled anxiety and depression, issues that rarely made headlines but deeply affected him. Compounding this was his heartbreak over being away from his family. By the late 1970s, Gary had a young daughter and often spoke of missing her formative years. He would later call it a mistake I never stopped regretting. Co-star Mike Farrell once said, Gary had emotional problems. He always felt he wasn't getting the attention or appreciation he deserved. But I think he underestimated how much we all respected him. Gary also wanted more flexibility and better pay, asking for fewer appearances so he could tend to his personal life. The producers tried to accommodate him, even granting more time off, but it wasn't enough. Emotionally, Gary had reached his limit. So, in Season 8, he made the tough decision to leave the show. Unlike Wayne, though, M.A*S*H gave Radar a beautiful and heartfelt send-off. In the two-part episode, Goodbye, Radar, the character returns from leave only to see the 4077th falling apart. Despite trying to restore order, Radar ultimately realizes his place is back home, his mother needs him, and his community farm is in trouble. And perhaps, he had finally grown up. The final scene was almost silent, Radar walking away under the Korean sky, leaving his teddy bear behind on Hawkeye's bunk. That moment said everything the show couldn't articulate in words. It was a loss the audience felt deeply, like saying goodbye to our own innocence. After M.A*S*H, Gary stepped back from the spotlight. He did a few appearances, including a spin-off called Walter, where Radar becomes a rookie cop, but it didn't take off. Eventually, he left acting altogether, turning to painting, wildlife conservation, and even inventing, holding several patents, including one for a fishing tackle system. Nature and invention became his refuge from the pressures of fame. Reflecting on his departure, Gary once said, I left for two reasons, my family and burnout. I wanted to pick up the pieces of my life. Today, he lives quietly, rarely gives interviews, and avoids the limelight. But to fans, he'll always be the kind-hearted Radar, the kid who heard helicopters before anyone else. And then there's Larry Linville, the man who gave life to one of television's most hilarious villains, Frank Burns. It's hard to imagine early M.A*S*H without Major Burns, the rigid, petty, self-important character played with perfection by Linville. His sycophantic obsession with rules, secret affair with Major Houlihan, and profound inferiority complex made him the perfect foil for Hawkeye and Trapper. But as the show matured, Frank's character did not. While others evolved emotionally and morally, Frank remained a one-note villain. Larry, a much more versatile actor than the role allowed, began to feel creatively stifled. By the end of Season 5, he decided not to renew his contract, saying he had taken the character as far as he could. He wasn't fired. He simply made the bold decision to walk away. Larry Linville, who played Major Frank Burns on MASH, wasn't pushed out. He simply walked away, recognizing that the show was evolving beyond the limits of his character. His departure had a massive ripple effect. With Frank gone, MASH was free to explore deeper, more nuanced moral conflicts. The need for a cartoonish villain faded, making space for comedy rooted in irony and humanity rather than slapstick and cruelty. Many believe Larry's exit marked a pivotal creative shift that helped elevate M.A*S*H from a good show to a legendary one. Still, his absence was felt. For 5 seasons, Frank had been the comic relief and the source of conflict, and his exit forced the writers to rework the show's rhythm. Though he was written out off-screen with a cushy promotion, His absence left a deep mark on the show's DNA. Larry continued working in television and film but never again found a role as iconic as Frank Burns. To fill the void left by Frank, a new character was introduced, Charles Emerson Winchester III, portrayed by David Ogden Stiers. If Frank was the exaggerated, buffoonish antagonist, Winchester was a more subtle challenge, cultured, brilliant, arrogant, and emotionally guarded. Unlike Frank, Winchester was not cruel. He was proud and reserved, slowly revealing a deeply human core. David Ogden Stiers played him with extraordinary restraint, transforming the character into a symbol of the internal toll of war. His journey culminated in one of television's most hauntingly beautiful moments, teaching Chinese POWs to play Mozart in his final scene. Unlike Larry Linville, David stayed with the show until its last episode, declining to join the spin-off Aftermath, saying, "Winchester had said what he needed to say." After MAS*S*H*, David voiced beloved Disney characters and, in 2009, publicly came out as gay, expressing pride in his identity while revealing past fears about how it could impact his career. He passed away in 2018 at the age of 75 from bladder cancer, leaving behind a legacy not only of performance but of quiet personal courage. But the women of MAS*S*H* also played vital roles in shaping the show's tone. One standout was Major Margaret "Hot Lips" Houlihan, portrayed by Loretta Swit. In a war zone dominated by wisecracking men, the women had a tougher task, being seen. Margaret's transformation over the series was remarkable. Initially reduced to a punchline, her nickname a leftover joke from the original film, she was the by-the-book officer often mocked. But Loretta Swit refused to keep her in that narrow space. With each season, she brought Margaret to life with intelligence, strength, and vulnerability. By the show's end, Margaret was a respected, fully realized, and quietly revolutionary character, a decorated officer and skilled head nurse who questioned the war's cruelty while doing her duty with resolve. Loretta Swit once said, "I wanted her to be a woman of substance." And she succeeded. Unlike many male co-stars who left the show, Loretta stayed all 11 seasons and was one of only 4 actors to appear in both the pilot and the finale. While other female characters came and went, Margaret remained, growing stronger with each episode. In a show that exposed the raw humanity of war, she stood tall, ensuring the men didn't carry the show alone. Who else deserves recognition? Tell us in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next video.